Good evening everyone and welcome along to the SRS MX5 Sprint Series. We are here tonight for rounds 5 and 6 of the championship as we take in Interlagos here in Brazil. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you through the action as always on the stream. Should be getting drawn by Trevor Holden in the commentary box tonight as well. He is going to be joining very shortly, I hope. Hopefully he has not gone for a shower or anything like that and we might be waiting ages and ages for him. But he will be joining in just a second. And of course, bowing down into tonight, it is the final 2 rounds of this SRS MX5 Sprint Series. We hope that you are going to enjoy this. We hope that you're going to have a thrilling time watching the action unfold, of course, out on track. And coming into tonight, it is Tice leading the way in the standings now on 117 points. Palmer in second on 116. So Tice really taking to the fight to his SMM teamer. I have a feeling both of them are going to be fighting it out on track tonight. Marcello in third on 80 points, with Viper in fourth on 51, Doug in fifth on 50, with Harracer in sixth on 46, Keelan in seventh on 34, Splash in eighth on 30. Then we've got myself in ninth on 28, Superboy Rotary in 10th on 28, Superboy in 11th on 20, Tap in 12th on 11. Have I read that right? Yeah, Rotary on 20. Sorry. Superboy on 20, Tap on 11, Carbon on 10, then Petrolhead in 14th on 6, Volschweitzer as well tied for 14th on 6, Bar in 16th on 4, and Gamer Coxie in 17th on 3 points. We have got 13 drivers currently in the lobby as it stands, and hopefully we're going to be having some fantastic action out on track tonight, and that is not friendly behaviour between the two Sidemax boys there out on track. Hopefully they're going for photo opportunities opposed to taking each other out like they were doing in the 5-lap races that preceded this. But anyways, we are here of course tonight and it's going to be fantastic, I think, to see all of the action really unfold out on track, and hopefully as I say, Trevor Holden is going to be joining me very soon indeed. I have just been informed that they are dealing with some in real life stuff at the moment, which is totally fine, so I'm going to carry the stream currently on my end. But we are here like 5 minutes early before the qualifying is about to begin, so everyone just getting in their final practice times. You can see there Tice out on top. Let's get the leaderboard up as well. And there is Tice's time, 153.9 from him. Marcello there in second with 154 point flat. Palmer in third, Splash in fourth currently, as we are still in practice. 5 minutes to go, as I say, until qualifying does begin. Harracer there, Doug, Keelan, Tap, Bar, Petrolhead, Coxie and Rotary are your drivers out on track. Tyson Palmer just leaving in. Viper is there in the pit lane as well. So we have got 13 drivers here tonight, and hopefully it is going to be fantastic to see and fantastic to watch and fantastic to commentate on as well. This possibly being my final trip into the commentary box for the MX5 Sprint Series, certainly. But as we see Marcello there coming across the line, the Italian getting his laps in. Sidemax, of course, have been dominating affairs out in front, and yes, there has been a little bit of controversy saying that there shouldn't be 5 Sidemax Motorsports drivers. I totally agree with that, to be honest. There shouldn't be 5. It should be a limit of 2, I think, and going forward we are going to get harder on how this is going to proceed. But qualifying has now begun, or is about to begin, and we're going to see the first cars roll out onto track. Trevor Holden, as I say, will join me very, very shortly indeed. But in the meantime, we're about to get going. Here is qualifying, and that we are on board with Tice, I think, coming out of the pit lane. And actually, the first time I think we could actually ride on board with him straight from the outset through qualifying. So now Tice comes down through the pit lane and out towards track. Very difficult camera angle to see there, but you can see in terms of his throttle input currently, it is automatically controlled at this stage, but he is the first coming out on track, and he'll be hoping to try and get a really good lap in here. There is the broadcast cam with Sidemax Motorworks man, the current championship leader, coming into tonight. Palmer's still not out on track just yet. He has just appeared back out on track, in fact, so Tice first out on track, and we'll see how the championship leader is going to get on. Everyone, I'm glad to say, is out of the pit lane, which I'm really glad to see, and Tice now running up the hill towards turn number 6 through Ferradura, and then through turn 7, then through turn 8 at Laranja. And hopefully these Brazilian pronunciations, or these Spanish pronunciations, however you might feel like it, are going to be right on top. Tice now coming through, down the hill through turn 8, then through turn 9 at Pinheiro, and now towards turn 10 at Cotovelo, otherwise known, of course, as, otherwise known as that name that I've just pronounced that corner as. Then through turn 11 at Mergulo, and then towards Junsao at turn 12. Junsao, of course, the final technical corner out on track on this track. But through to 13 and 14 up to Sabidos boxes, those are still corner names, and it's pretty much a flat-out run all the way to the line, over a kilometre run from Junsao all the way to the line here at Interlagos. Let me ride you on board then with Thijs as he now prepares up for his lap. The Dutchman trying to take a thin line, running down pretty much adjacent to the pit wall as he would. And now comes across the line to start off on his lap. Let's see what sort of lap time this is going to be. We'll take you on board throughout this full lap on board with Thijs as he now runs down towards turn 1 out on track as Desida del Sol, and then through the centre S at turn 2. But through the centre S at turn 2, very nice, catching the curb on the inside. You can do that. You can afford to run over 2 wheels certainly on the curb without picking up a penalty. Very thin line coming through turn 3, and now pretty much running down the pit lane wall towards turn 4 at Desida del Lago, and Desida del Lago now running down towards turn 4. First sector 29.4 through the first sector from Thijs. Now comes through beautifully indeed through turn 4, and now through turn 5, and then up towards Laranja Ferradura, I should say, at turn 6 before they get to the highest point on the track at Laranja through turn 8. So Thijs committed. Now flicks the car in beautifully right to the inside apex. Doesn't want to run it too much on the curb. But 7 minutes to go in qualifying, no lap times have been set just yet. And now Thijs cuts coming through turn 8. He can do that as he now runs through turn 9 and then towards turn 10 at Cotovelo, which is a second gear corner. Sometimes in these cars will be a first gear corner as opposed to a second gear, but you can see takes out the wide out line, dips in very nicely indeed, and now runs down towards Junsao at turn 12. Through turn 11, catches the curb. The curb can be your friend around here at Interlagos. 123.6 through this final, through the middle sector split, and now through the final sector. Let's see what he can do out on track. Thijs currently is out on top from Duggan second, Splash in third, but don't trust that graphic to the left-hand side as we now run on board with Thijs as he flies up through where, of course, Alonso lost it in 2003 around here in Formula 1, and now coming across towards the start-finish line. Thijs is going to set probably in the 153 mark here, I would think. Thijs across the line, 154.2 to start us off with. Very nice lap there from Thijs. Doug, Splash, Hair Raiser are all pretty much coming across the line together. You'd think it's the race between these three. Doug across the line, Splash across the line, and Hair Raiser actually 8 tenths up. Viper with a good lap there, putting him 2 tenths within. Doug with a good lap there. Marcello goes up into second. Plenty of drivers coming across the line. How can you hardly keep up with this? Coming across the line, Petrolhead there in 12th. Bart didn't get a respective lap in either, but it is Thijs, the man out on top by 800ths of a second. That's the first lap's completed. Marcello in second, Viper third, Palmer up to 4th with Herazer in 5th, and 5 tenths of a second separating the top 4 currently. But we have seen so far this season that it could be the closest qualifying season so far. Palmer through the first sector as Rotary has left the room, so hopefully Rotary can get back in. He did mention that his internet wasn't going to be as great as what it normally is, but halfway through qualifying, hopefully he can rejoin, and then he can join for the race. I hope that anyways. We might have a restart for the race possibly to allow him to get back in. But Palmer now, the other main championship rival to Thijs. Splash just runs out wide. Oh, nearly cuts him off at the pass there. Does Splash, but Palmer within a bit of a train. This is going to cost you a lot of time around here in Interlagos if you are part of a DRS train, or essentially a slipstream train as this track now provides with the MX5s. So Palmer now running down the hill. How's he going to get on? Thijs leading the way, Marcello second, Viper third with 4.5 minutes to go in qualifying. 700s up from Palmer, but Thijs more immediately is coming towards the line. I'm not sure what his lap time is currently. Is he going to come into the pit lane, I wonder? Nope, Thijs stays out. Now Thijs runs to the line. Is it going to be an improvement on the 154.2? comes across the line. No, it's not. It's a 154.9. Very difficult to try and get a good lap in around here. Viper runs onto the outside line to try and let a few guys through. As now Palmer runs to the line. He was purple through the first and the middle sector. Is he going to challenge Tice? Comes across the line. He does challenge Tice, and he's 1500 off him as Petrolhead. Instead of 155 flat. Keelan as well with a 155.3 coming in there in 8th. Tap with a 155.6 improving as well. But Tice still out on top, and the two championship rivals for Side Max, first and second, with Marcello there in third with a 5/10 penalty. Viper there in fourth. Good improvement from Viper as well on that lap, and he's still there. He's giving, or Doug is giving a little bit of a train to Hair Racer, and Viper very late on the brakes there, nearly into the back of Hair Racer there. Palmer now under pressure. This is going to be majorly frustrating for some of the guys out on track, I would imagine. But Tice 1500th of a second leading, and Palmer in second. Let's run on board then with Viper as he tries to go all the way around the outside of Harris. As I say, you would imagine that these guys are in the race currently. Not sure whether it's team tactics between the Side Max boys and the Side and the Speed Demon Motorworks guys, I should say, or if this is just the nature of the track and the nature of the beast. But currently, it looks to me as if Tice is out on top, Palmer second, Marcello in third, as my co-commentator for tonight, Trevor Holden, has joined us. And Trevor, how are you doing with 2 minutes and a half minutes to go into the session?
Well, of course, the sense of urgency now to kind of catch up is catching up, because I had to quickly move the cars because we have a rather big driveway to clear up the never-ending snow from this morning. But of course, getting all warmed up and fired up for tonight's season finale of the SRS MX5 Cup Series to get underway. I'm just looking at the timings now. Palmer and Tice, 15 thousandths of a second between each other, then not far off there. 70 thousandths separate Palmer and Marcello, and then Viper off, not that far off Marcello in third and fourth as well. A couple more improvements is Palmer now up to, Palmer up to pole position right now. Very good lap for him. Keelan now in fifth place with the SDM crew of Viper and Splash making up a respectable performance for fourth and sixth. Of course, those guys under my team name of Speed Motorsports, but I try and remain as neutrally biased as possible while in the streams as well. So if I go Side Max Motorworks, like having this, it's like, oh, and that just happened, but in the back of my head, it's just like, yes, get it! I'm just kidding.
Honestly, I've been watching this, and it's been absolutely fascinating to see, because Palmer has been stuck in this SDM sort of train. He's got Doug just in front of him currently. Is he the man to watch at this stage? But it seems to me there's almost a bit of team tactics fighting back at Side Max possibly tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that might be the case, because as we saw last week, Viper and Doug were really at the forefront of the Speed Demon Motorsports foray with the number 51 of Viper and the 13 of Doug. As actually you can see, Palmer now actually going to back out of that train now, going to actually try and get some free real estate ahead of Patrolhead and behind Razor at the moment. So hopefully this is going to kind of change things up a little bit as we're coming to the final lap of qualifying here, and I'm kind of wondering to see who that is up there. That is Tice, completely ahead of the gaggle of cars that are really behind him. So he's going to have, all of these guys I think are going to have one more lap. If not, this might be the final lap. Tice really trying to get the most out of that car into the final corner. You can just see him actually even just beyond the marked track limit, so he's trying to get as much as he can.
Oh, I thought he was nearly going to improve. 54.4 from Tice, but he can still get another lap in. I think that's a disadvantage of maybe being by yourself. Marcello is on a good lap here, possibly running towards the line. These guys are going to get their final laps in. Doug has just improved up into 7th. Hair Razor up to 8th. Splash up to 3rd in all of that as well. But Marcello comes across the line, not improving, 1.8 seconds down on his lap time. But the final laps have commenced. But some drivers that are not going to get another lap in, I think, include Tap, Coxie and Barr, who comes across the line to go 11th ahead of Coxie there. But the first man out on track is Tice, and what's he looking through the first sector?
Yeah, he's looking very feisty indeed, but is it going to be enough? I don't think it is a personal best sector. 29.495, Splash coming through to the first sector with a 29.381. So Tice, I don't think on course for an improvement, but we have seen a couple of green purple personal best sectors across the board. Of course, Palmer with that 29.098, so Tice already about close to a half a second off of his teammate, but can he make something out of the rest of the corners here? Because Interlagos, one of the most iconic tracks in the world, basically, including the F1 calendar, but it also makes for some entertaining MX5 racing. Of course, I've done some previous commentary on another undisclosed league, of course, for MX5s, and of course, I can remember that day as vividly as anybody's day would remember, but that, of course, just comes to show you how crazy these types of cup cars can be. These spec racing here, it can just show you how unbelievably close it can be at times in league racing, of course.
Yeah, Tice is 0.05 of a second up through this middle sector, but I tell you what, I think it's not going to be an improvement at all from Tice. Let's see what he can do as he now runs towards the line. It is Palmer still out on top, Tice in second. Can Tice try and defeat his nearest championship rival? It's going to be close to the line. He doesn't. He doesn't even improve. He lost 0.5 of a second in that final sector alone, and that is absolutely massive. Palmer has got Keelan just in front of him out on track as well. He will be the last man to come across the line. There'll be other improvements as well.
No improvement. Can there be any improvements from any of these guys? Marcello actually has a penalty coming across the line. Keelan just needs it across the line. Palmer will take the pole position, and it is Splash who actually got a late improvement up to third. So a good move and a good day for Splash in the number 11 Mazda.
Yeah, Splash finishing in third, but the main championship rivals, Palmer and Tice, about to do battle. Side Max, of course, first, third, fourth, and sixth currently. Splash and Viper splitting the duels out on track. But here we go. We are about to get going for 30 minutes worth of racing. I hope you're excited as much as we are in the commentary box. The 5 red lights are going to come up on the gantry, and Palmer will be hoping to try and get a very good start. Hopefully nobody false starts like we did in a practice race earlier on. But 5 red lights are about to go ahead, and it's lights down, away we go. Palmer gets a good start, and look at everyone now going into the slipstream as they come towards turn 1, pretty much in line of stern formation, as Palmer will lead up towards turn 1. Tyson second. Splash already feeling like he can defend the inside line of Marcello. And of course, these two have had a bit of rubbing together in the past. I'm going to nip out of spectator mode and get back in. A little bit of contact further down.
Yeah, I think Doug Barrow got forced off a little bit wide, I think, by either a Keelan or Patrolhead. I wish I had my replay cam on me, but of course, unfortunately, I think you are the one that's shooting, so I don't think we're unfortunately able to get a replay of that. But Doug Barrow, who I think qualified a little higher up in the field, all of a sudden down in the 8th place, so he's got a bit of work to do, including Razor in 9th place.
Marcello's ran wide. Viper knocks him out wide slightly, but that was Marcello going out wide. The initial contact there, Viper, threw up into 4th, but the initial contact there, I think Viper just forced him further out wide compared to Marcello running out wide completely by himself. So Viper's through up into 4th. Marcello, however, will be up for this fight. Palmer, however, has broken well, and he's 6/10 ahead, going at the top of the hill through Laranja, and Palmer leads from Tyson second, Splash in third, with Viper fourth, Marcello and Keelan, and there's been a bit of contact. Petrolhead's been sent round slightly.
Yeah, there was definitely a bit of contact between Marcello and Viper. Marcello was right up on the back bumper of Viper. Viper got a little bit loose coming out of that tight little hairpin, and Marcello, unfortunately, just nowhere to go. Got the car a little loose, and that forced him a little bit wide. But with these cop cars, it gets you right back in the main fight.
It really does, and look at everyone in the slipstream train as they now run through Jun South for the first time. Palmer ran out wide there slightly, but he's maintaining a 5.5 lead, but this is where you have the disadvantage. Running up the hill through Sabido soft boxes, and then back down the hill, essentially in towards turn 1 at Desida do Sol. But Palmer leading the way by 0.5 of a second. Tyson second, Splash in third. Look at Viper, though, on the back of Splash. Is he going to try and give a bump draft to the man in front of him, the Lithuanian, of course? But Palmer, 2:01.6 is a not bad first lap around here at all, as Viper looks at Splash but doesn't go for the move, and Splash nearly careers into the back of Tice. That was very, very late on the brakes. Good job, Splash had the brakes on him there, because otherwise it would have ended him up into the back of Tice, the championship leader. But Palmer now has got about a 6/10 lead from Tice in second, Splash in third, Viper in fourth, Marcello in fifth. Looking further down the field, a little bit of a gap breaking. Doug in seventh is on the back of Keelan, but other than that, Hair Razor, Petrolhead and Tap is now going side by side actually, with Petrolhead running down in towards Desida do Lago at turn 4, but Petrolhead around the outside, Tap on the inside line. Petrolhead is through, and he's still maintaining that 9th position. Good racing so far, but we're in a bit of a DRS trade essentially, running up the hill. Splash, Viper, Marcello, 3rd, 4th and 5th, right on the back of Tice.
Yeah, it's a very, very close running here. I think this is kind of what we expected from a lot of these guys in the top running for right here. Marcello! Big commitment from Marcello. Side by side going through this very tight section. Marcello now on the outside, but forcing Viper to take a slow line. Now Marcello's going to have the inside line for this next right-hander here. Is he going to force it up the inside? Viper. Oh, and this is, just really alongside. Viper getting a little bit loose. And what a move by Marcello in that number 5 Mazda. But Viper still not done yet. He's got alongside. This is going to be an absolutely amazing move. Viper pulls it off. Later on the
he's pulling away. He's gone way too wide.
Overshot it. Oh, a little bit too hairy.
Here's
from
Keelan.
the number 51.
Oh, and Keelan Viper comes across at the pass on Viper. Goodness me. And Keelan, so lucky not to hit into the back of him and give a bit of a bum trap, but they're still in this DRS train, essentially running down the hill in towards turn 1 once again. Doug is on the back of this as well, but the front 3 beginning to pull away. Palmer, Tyson, Splash look like your top 3 currently, but here comes Viper around the outside of Keelan. Can he try and get the move done as we fly 2 by 2 as we go through turn 1? Who's going to come out on top? It's Marcello who is through. And he's into 4th position as Keelan fights back on Doug as well. Doug gives the flashing lights treatment to Keelan, but very good racing so far, very clean racing as well. But crucially, the front 3 are pulling away. Palmer, Tyson, Splash have got 1.6 seconds to Marcello, and that is a significant gap as Viper's on the back of Marcello, running down towards the seat of Interlagos once again as he tries to go around the outside, switches it back to the inner, but Marcello still stays in 4th.
Yeah, Marcello, of course, I was watching a bit of practice between these two, and it looked like Viper and Marcello are really close on race pace with each other. Just cannot separate these two at all. But, like you said, James, with the top 3 being Splash, Palmer, and Tice, as soon as you get a gap of a breakaway and you break that toe, it's going to be very, very difficult for the guys further back to really try and mount and challenge. So this is basically more of a front-running.
Keelan made a mistake at the top of the hill through La Ranja now. Yeah, Doug is right on the back. He's got to get the inside line here, Doug. Doug's down the inside. Can the Brit do it? On his fellow countryman, down in towards La Ranja at turn 10. Sorry, Cotavello at turn 10. But can he try and get the move done? I think he has. Doug's through and he's up into 6th.
He's done the move wonderfully. Keelan, I think, got forced a little bit wide. If not, he had a little bit of understeer coming out of that really tight right-hander. Now coming to the final corner. Now, all of a sudden, this is going to be where the drafting game comes into play now with Doug, Barrow, Keelan, and Razor. As Hair Razor all of a sudden is really back into this fight. We didn't get to see him a whole lot in the first parts of this race. Now, all of a sudden, he's really fighting with the Cymax crew, including Keelan and his fellow teammate, Doug Barrow.
Titus closing in on Palmer as well. 10.5 separating as they come towards turn 1. These 2 championship rivals are going to go at it. Palmer on the inside line, Tice on the outside line, but Palmer hangs on for the lead of the race. Tice a little bit sideways coming out of turn 1, then through the centre S of turn 2, but Splash on the back of him still. 0.4 of a second. You can throw a blanket over the front 3 currently. Marcello in 4th, Viper in 5th. Viper trying to hang on in there, but here comes Keelan on the back of Doug as well. We'll cut away from that front battle as Keelan now runs onto the back of Doug. The old-timer of the field has got Keelan right on the back of him, but I think Keelan wants to try and work together with Doug at this point, possibly, to try and get them more involved into Viper, as Palmer is down to 3rd.
Yeah, a really good move by Tice on the outside of turn 4, and now Splash up into 2nd place with Tice taking the lead. So Palmer just really tried doing all the homework that he could to defend that racing position.
Oh, it's on the inside!
Oh! Palmer not giving a bit of an inch of room, but the speed demon that is Splash not going to make it any easy for the Cymax crew. And these two, Palmer a little bit forced wide. And look at this now, Marcello and Viper, they want to get it on the party here.
Palmer's done. Palmer's got the move done. He's through. He's up into 2nd through Cotavello. But Splash now gets the run. Round the outside, coming through turn 11. No way, Jose from Splash. Can he try and get the move done? The Lithuanian. Marcello right on the back. Viper as well, as you say. Both beginning to come into play. And this is the effect. I think Tice has actually broken the slipstream. Neva's championship rival and Palmer. It's a second the gap from Tice to Palmer. But now Splash is right on the back from him. He's lost slight bit of time coming out of Junsao. But up the hill and towards the DOS boxes for the 4th time. Marcello and Viper still right on the back. Doug has fought off the attention of Keelan, who's got a hair razor to try and fend off in behind, but here comes Splash. Now Speed Demon Motorworks. Speed Demon Motorworks? No. Speed Demon Motorsports. It's difficult. Cymax Motorworks and Speed Demon Motorsport fighting it out on track of the speed. It's not the first time I've got that wrong. Tice leading the way from Palmer in 2nd. Splash in 3rd, but look at Marcello right on the back of this.
Yeah, he's really clawed back that gap. Splash going to leave a little bit of room. He's going to leave the door wide open and immediately closes it. Wow, what big commitment. Can Splash make a move? He's going to squeeze Viper. Oh, Viper! Oh, how did he not hit the back of Marcello? If he did, maybe just a little bit of a kiss on the back of that number 5 Mazda. Now Splash really feeling the pressure from the Italian of Marcello. And Marcello, he never makes any racing scenario.
Marcello trying to go around the outside of Splash. He cuts in on the inner.
He forced him. Viper's
no.
going to be very opportunistic about this as well. He's going to stay a little bit on the outside to get a better run.
Oh, goodness me! Contact!
Oh, Marcello was sliding a little bit, but Viper, I don't think, can make a whole lot. Marcello, I don't even know how in the heck he's still in this fight. He has been... The car was slightly sideways, and he's still right in the thick of this.
Marcello,
unbelievable.
Yeah, Marcello fighting really aggressively compared to what he did with Superboy as well. Last week, Superboy, the less we say about him, the better, as now Viper is right on the back of Marcello, but the front two beginning to split away. It's pretty much even gap. Tight to Palmer's 1.1 seconds, and then Palmer to Splash is 1.2 seconds out on track as Marcello runs out wide, and now Viper is going to try and get a better run, but Marcello, in fact, got the better run up the hill, and is now closing back up on the Splash, and it is literally like King Kong coming at you in behind, with Marcello on the back of Splash, running down in towards turn 1 once again. Through turn 15, it is Tice who leads. Palmer in second. Tice doing enough currently to lead the championship going into the final race. A bit of a lag back there from Splash. Now here comes Marcello to the inside line. Is the Italian going to get the move done down the inside? He's very committed on the move. Splash will try and cut across. A little bit of desing maybe between them both slightly, but Marcello around the outside line, and look at Viper. Viper has came from absolutely nowhere and takes fourth from Splash. That was an incredible run out through the SRS at turn 2, and now he's got a chance of getting the Marcello, but Viper, opportunistic, got the better run and is throwing up into fourth, and Splash has lost 2 places for the price of 1.
Yeah, I think Viper was reporting on the team radio a little bit of weaving from Marcello, so maybe have to...
Oh, he's on the inside!
Marcello! Oh, no way!
He's got it!
Wow, Viper! Woo! He's got to defend on the hard work. He's got to do a little bit of hard work, Marcello. Is he going to keep it on there? Viper completes the move, and what a move by Viper from 5th to 3rd, really within half a lap. That deserves a round of applause, James. Oh, Marcello comes on back.
Oh, Marcello really fighting aggressively here. They touch wheels once again. This is MX5 racing at its finest.
Here comes Splash.
Goodness me. Marcello's got the inside line though. Is he going to try and have a go at Viper? Don't think he does. Yeah, he backs out that and Viper stays third. They don't want to get too close to each other here, and they don't want to fight too aggressively, because now look who's on the back of them. Doug catching 1.4 seconds off. Hairraiser and Keelan, and maybe even Petrolhead getting involved in this as well. These guys, I think, have got to put differences aside, different teams aside, work together, try and catch back up to the front too.
Yeah, I think all of a sudden, Keelan, who was really in the thick of the battle between Doug Barrow and Hairraiser, all of a sudden has really lost the second and a bit to the 2 Costa Racing by SDM entries. So, not sure if there's something struggling going on with Keelan's side of the thing. Yeah, possibly a mistake. I'm going to look back at the sector time, see if I notice anything a little bit odd between these 2 guys. I'm not seeing anything really wrong out of Keelan. It said last lap was a 156. So maybe there's a bit of an issue with the handling of the car that Keelan's having to figure out with maybe, but all of a sudden I think Patrolhead might be starting to creep up for 8th place, but we'll turn our eyes back to the front of the field now, whereas Viper depends really heavily on Marcello. Marcello never makes this really easy. He's going to, of course, try and squeeze the number 51 to the wall, but Viper going to stick alongside him for turn number 4. Marcello on the outside again. What a move! Marcello! Unbelievable from Marcello. If Viper can do it, so can Marcello. That is unbelievable trading up positions right there.
Brilliant move around the outside of the Interlagos, and Marcello is throwing. He's up into 3rd. Viper down to 4th, and Splash is not too far away from this at all. The 4.5 seconds off the lead of this race. Doug and Hairraiser beginning to come into this battle as well. But Marcello, that honestly is probably the move of the season that I've just seen there. Marcello is through around the outside of the Interlagos. He had so much commitment on the brakes, let alone to try and get around the outside of him. And Marcello's through, and he's up into 3rd. But now look what is happening now in front. Palmer's got a penalty. penalty of 3/10 actually, and Tice has got 1.1 seconds over him currently. 800th improvement in the middle sector from Tice. Viper currently with the fastest lap of the race. 3rd, 4th and 5th within the same camera shot, and Hair Racer and Doug just in behind as well. The bit of mistake from Viper as now Splash is going to get him, but I would imagine that Splash is going to give a bit of a backside bump here to Viper to try and catch back up to Marcello.
Yeah, I caught Viper sliding a little bit out of the final corner, of course, really trying to push, but with the bump that with his teammates Splash behind, that's not going to really matter a whole lot, because all of a sudden now, Marcello really on the outside, Viper moves to the outside, and I think Splash will follow suit as well. If not, keep the door open. Oh, that would have been a really ballsy move from Splash had he made that work. But Marcello, like you said, not making this any easy at all between these two SDM cars that are really trying to make up as much points as they can. Of course, Viper getting his first win of the season at round number 2. I think Viper may have forced the door open just a little bit, gets on the back end of Marcello, but can he make a move? Marcello's not particularly defending just yet. Viper down to the inside, breaking a little bit deeper. Okay, so Marcello sticks it. Doesn't really have to defend, but I think he realizes that the outside line may be the more better line than sticking it and defending it into the inside.
It is, because the marbles obviously goes out wide coming through turn 5, and that's where the traction zone is really. It's side by side up the hill though between Doug and Hair Racer. Hair Racer in fact is through up to 6th because Doug has got a second penalty I think out on track, so he is now down into 7th position, but still Marcello 3rd, Viper 4th, Splash in 5th. Let's have a look further down the field, see how the rest are getting on. Keelan's got a penalty, Petrolhead in 9th, Tap in 10th, Bar in 11th, and Gamer Coxie not really enjoying it out there in 12th, but he does set his personal best first sector out on track. He runs it out wide coming through there, but it is Tice now leading. Gap now 0.6 of a second. I wonder if Tice now is giving Palmer a little bit of slipstream to try and give us a lead battle.
Yeah, I think Tice understands that, you know, look, we're in a really good position right now. Viper now getting a good run out of the final quarter, so we'll take a break from the top 2 for a little bit. Marcello again. This has been the absolute battle to watch, and we're only just halfway through this, so who knows what the second half of this race will bring. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, just because we have 14 minutes left on this race doesn't mean we have another 30 minutes of action-packed racing here for the season finale at Interlagos. So what happens in this race, keep in mind, the field's going to be inverted, and that's going to be a whole other slew of...
Oh, Viper's got him! Viper's got him down the inside line! It's a brilliant dummy! It's a brilliant move by the American! Viper through, and he's up into 3rd position. He dummied him from the outside to the inside, and he gets the move done, and he's up into 3rd position. But look at Splash! Splash is going to have a double toe on both of them. Can he try and get them down in towards the seat of the logo? Look at the lead of the race as well! Palmer is right on the back of Tice, and that's going to be a lead battle very, very soon indeed. Marcello to the inside line. Viper shouldn't have done that, I think. Marcello down the inside line. Viper trying to get the attraction around the outside, but that time Marcello hangs him out to dry. And look at Splash. Splash is going to have a run on both of them at least. He's got 1. Can he get 2 around the outside coming up the hill? Tice leading from Palmer in 2nd, but goodness me, this battle for 3rd is absolutely brilliant. Marcello 3rd. Splash now hung out to dry. Now Viper's through, and he's up into 4th, and that is the nature of the camber of this track. As Splash tries to go around the outside of Viper, Viper through, and he's up into 4th. Drivers do get hung out to drive around this track, and when it costs you, you really feel the effects.
Yeah, as you just saw right there, I think Viper was really trying to defend on that outside because I think he knew that inside line was a little bit tighter, and I don't think he was expecting Marcello to make that move particularly work. So all of a sudden now Marcello making the oddball play card work a little bit better by going down the inside of turn 4. But coming up to the final corner right now, hit the reset button with Marcello back up.
He ran wide.
Fifth. Yeah, running a little bit wide. Oh, a little latency and lag right there from Marcello, so got to be a little bit careful.
Here's the battle
with
for the
that.
lead. Palmer's right on the back of Tice for the battle for the lead. Is he going to give him a bit of a bump draft? Yes, predictably he is. But you know what? Fight! Fight, man! Fight! Tice and Palmer, goodness me, you're teammates and you're fighting out for the championship and you're bump drafting each other down in towards turn 1. Tice leading from Palmer in 2nd. Give the viewers what they want, for God's sake, as now Viper tries to go back around the outside line, but I think Marcello has got the move done. He switches it back though. Viper with a great switch back, trying to go around the outside, but Marcello runs him out wide. Given the nature of the camber of the corner, Viper though is not giving up without a fight, and he's just about got the car ahead. Splash is now going to have a run at both of them, side by by side. They go down and towards the Cedar del Lago for the 10th time. It's Tice who leads. Palmer second. Marcello, Viper, Splash. Marcello on the outside line. Viper on the inside line. They come into contact slightly, and now Splash is going to try and get a good run on Viper, but Viper nearly gets the backdraft there from Splash as now they come through up the hill once again up towards Ferradura at turn 6. Marcello in third. Viper fourth. Splash is not making this 3 wide, is he? He thinks about it, but he's not going to go for the move. Marcello and Viper rubbing is racing at the end of the day, and that's what we're seeing. Third and fourth is still remain.
Yeah, I think the real big question that maybe circling over Cymax's, team chat right now is wondering, how did he not get a penalty for running wide at turn number 3? So usually when cars go like that and go a little wide, they usually get a penalty. But I think in that instance where he may have gotten a little bit of assistance from the number 5 Mazda, I think the race stewards might have thought, now we're going to, that was a clean play, so, but don't do it again, of course, so got to keep that in mind. But of course, I do agree. And, with Palmer,
Marcello's run wide! Marcello's run massively wide, coming through Junsao, and now Viper is hunting him down. Has he got the snake bite to try and get third? He will love that pun later on, I know. Marcello third, Viper fourth, but Viper cuts back into the slipstream. That could be costly because now Splash is in the slipstream of Marcello. He can decide which slipstream train, really, or slipstream to gain, running down in towards turn 1. Still Taisu leads from Palmer in second, and then Viper third. I think we've got side by side further down the field as well. Doug and Keelan, I think, are having a battle, running down towards turn 1 as Viper runs out wide. Splash on the inside line, but Viper hangs it around the outside, even with a slight drift coming through turn 1 and then through turn 3 once again. It lets Marcello get away and escape for third. But in the meantime, that battle for Doug and Keelan, 7th and 8th, they were side by side running in towards turn 1. I think Doug got Keelan, but now Keelan is going to try and come back. And if it's anybody, it's Keelan that'll try and go down the inside line here. But he gives Doug a bit of a tap, uses up his penalty to great effect, and Doug still in 7th, Keelan in 8th. I think Keelan, honestly, at this point, is just wanting to try and get Doug to catch up to Hair Razor.
Yeah, I think maybe a little intimate team, bonding for a little bit. Maybe Keelan trying to get back in this so he could probably gain a couple of more spots. Actually, saying that, Keelan trying to go around the outside, not really the boldest of moves that Keelan could possibly make, but is he going to force up on the inside here? Not quite. Doug Barrow going to force it a little bit wide a little bit. And all of a sudden, that gap that was pretty much non-existent between Marcello and Viper is now up to a full second nearly. So this is not good news if you're the 51 or the 11 who's really trying to make up some lost ground in this championship.
Palmer, in the meantime, on the back of Tice, 2.5 tenths as they come in towards Junsao. I think we will have 5 more laps to go, possibly out on track, with Tice leading Palmer in second. Palmer got a better run out of Junsao, and now he hunts right on the back of his teammate, right on the back of his nearest championship rival as well in Tice. And now, are we finally going to see the battle? Yes, we are! Palmer is good around the outside of Tice. Tice is on the inside line, and now they're side by side, running down into towards turn 1 with 9 minutes to go in the penultimate round of the season. Palmer is very late on the brakes, but so is Tice, and Tice overcommits it through turn 1. Palmer tries to cut it back, but Tice remains in the lead of the race. It is side by side though. Splash trying to get on the back of Viper there, trying to catch up to the back of Marcello, but Palmer now right on the back of Tice. Here's a good old friend and rival. I think the question has been given for these two to fight, and now the Side Max boys are going to fight. Running down in towards the Cedar del Lago for the 12th time. Palmer so much earlier on the brakes. He is just trying to find Tice's weak point at this stage, and that is a weak point because now he switches to the inside line. Palmer's going to get a hell of a run up towards Ferradura at turn 6. Can he get the legs? Can he get the run to the outside line? Could he switch it to the inside and try and get the dummy running up in towards turn 8? But no, Tice still remains in the lead of the race. Palmer, I've got to be honest, has just been a little bit cautious. I want to see more fight.
James, if I were you, mate, I'd probably be getting the girlfriend on the stream right about now to watch the last couple 8 minutes of this battle, because I can tell you what right now, just because of the fact that we only got 7 and 8 and a little bit less minutes to go, that doesn't mean that there's going to be a lot of argy-bargy. So if there's a time to tune into the race, it's definitely going to be now. And just a little bit of a point, I'm not sure if you've gone over championship standings yet, James.
Yeah, did earlier.
Tice, like you said, 117 to Palmer, 116, so Palmer has to beat Tice in order to remain within a mathematical chance, because he doesn't want to lose by 1 point over Tice. in this scenario. So, and now look at this gap now between Marcello and Viper. Now, all of a sudden, that near 1 second gap is completely gone. Just after, you know, what we thought was a little bit of a mistake from Viper and Splash. Look at the gap now all of a sudden. Just completely clawed it back on up, of course. Viper does not want to let go of this podium really easy.
Palmer to the outside. Can he get the move done? He's got a good thing about it around the outside through turn 1, but again, he's too cautious. No, he's not. He tries to go around the outside through the centre S, and then Viper is through on Marcello for third position. Absolutely unbelievable. We don't know where to turn with these two battles. Now Palmer is on the back of Tice, and now they fight side by side, running down in towards the scene of the Lago once again. Is Palmer going to be enough commitment this time to try and get the move done around the outside? My question is no, but he is. He's much later on the brakes that time around, but Tice hangs him out to dry, and Tice is still somehow in the lead of the race, but Palmer still right on the back. These guys, if these continue to fight, Marcello and Viper are still side by side, running up into a Ferragura. Look at Splash! Splash is going to make it 3 wide, running up towards Ferragura at turn 6. Can he get them both down the inside line? No, Marcello is through and he's up into third, but Viper and Splash are still side by side, running up the hill through turn 7, and then through turn 8. Marcello runs slightly wide, but keeps the position, and Splash is through and he's up into fourth. Viper really loses out there.
Absolutely mad stuff between these three drivers here. But even when these two are fighting as hard as they could,
Viper. Oh, Viper's around the outside! What a move! What a move! I'm not sure if Splash let him through there, but Viper's gone around the outside at turn 10 at Cottovello, and he's through and he's up into fourth, and Splash down into fifth, and that's how you try and respond. But now, speaking of response, Palmer has got to find something. 5 minutes to go here in the penultimate race of the season. Tice leading Palmer in second. Don't know where to turn because Marcello's in third, Viper fourth, Splash in fifth. But right on board with the battle for the leaders now. Palmer right on board. Tice nearly shoves him to the wall there and forces him to the outside line. It's now Palmer going to be smart enough to try and dip down the inner to try and get a dummy. No, Tice still remains in the lead of the race. If I was Palmer, I would be going for that move. I don't care who your teammate is at this point. He's your rival out on track and you've got to fight for the win. If you're going to remain in championship contention. Only a point separating, but Palmer will lead going into the final race if he wins here tonight.
Viper now with a 1 second penalty for cutting one of the Senna S's in the first part of the circuit. And so that's going to be very costly with about 4.5 minutes to go. So I think Splash now going to try. Yeah, Viper just let him on through, no problem. So I think Splash now is going to be relinquished to get back up to the number 5 Marcello. But look at the gap now, 1.1 seconds.
Palmer! Trying to go around the outside! Can he get the move done on Tice? No, he can't. Tice still in the lead of the race. Sorry to cut across, Trevor, but goodness me, Palmer trying to look to the outside line. That was the nearest he came to try and get the move done. 4 minutes to go. What an absolute action-packed race. I'll tell you what, though, Marcello has broken the slipstream to Splash. 4.2 seconds with Palmer 4 seconds ahead. I don't think he's entirely out of this with 2.5 laps to go.
Marcello, though, of course, Viper having the fastest lap of the race at a 1:53.637. So, because of the fact that he's in 5th place, does not particularly mean that he's down, but he's not out. Marcello has to really defend because he's basically in no man's land with the 2 best TM Mazdas right behind him. But Palmer has, if he wants any hope of staying within the championship hunt, it's go time for Palmer. So he's got to make it happen with about 3 minutes and 18 seconds left on the clock. And so now any bit of traction that they can make for between Splash and Viper, I don't think anything just yet. But up to the front of the field now, Tice really on the edge of defending.
No way!
Late on the brakes.
Around the outside?
He thought about it. He looked, but I don't think he was so close. But there was no cigar there. Tice now, and this is I think what we're kind of expecting to see with the terms of fighting now. Tice and Palmer going at it here with each other again, and they're just not making this easy amongst themselves here because I think Tice going to cover up the middle line. That's not a half bad strategy right there because it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult for Palmer. Palmer on the inside, and this is going to be a bit of a ballsy move here from Palmer if he can pull this off. Tice has not made this easy at all for the Brit.
Oh, 1,000th of a second.
Make it happen. Around the outside, yeah, that was Oh my goodness me. What do you think the gap's going to be right at the end of everything here, James?
Honestly, it could be a photo finish at this point, to be honest. It will be the final lap of the race. Honestly, the final lap of the race will be coming up after this one. So Tice will lead, Palmer in second. We're expecting 16, 17 laps out on track, but Tice is still leading. Palmer, though, has now got to fight. If you're in the Palmer household, tell your son to bloody fight for the race lead here, because Tice is in the lead of the race. But I would like to see rivals fighting instead of championship presidents. Marcello is still not entirely out of this. He's 2.9 seconds away, probably too much to get the leaders, but he's not entirely out of this either. These two really, really fight, and you know how Tice and Palmer usually take their races. 1.5 minutes to go. The final lap is about to begin out on track, and has Palmer now got the run at Tice for good? Is he going to try and go around the outside line? Tice nearly forces him offline and puts him nearly towards the wall. Final lap has started, and Tice is so committed. This has been a brilliant race of Palmer. Later on the brakes, but he will try and switch in and out. Tice run out wide. Palmer on the outside line. Is he going to try and get the switch back through the SRS? No. Now out of turn 3 and running down towards the Interlagos once again. Palmer has now got to commit. This is go time for Palmer, and now he's got to try and commit for this race win, but Tice is absolutely fending him off like no other. He has been an absolute brilliant driver so far this season, and Tice is showing why he should be champion. Palmer, though, has got retribution on his hands as he now runs right up towards Ferradura and cuts to the inside line. Now on the outside line, but I think Tice has barely got this car out in front as they now come through Ferradura for the final time in this penultimate race. I think it was a little bit of contact possibly between them both there. It's only 2 seconds, 1.8 seconds, 1.7 to Marcello, and Marcello's gaining as well. He's not entirely out of this, you know. Palmer now run on the back of Tice, but Tice is parking the bus. He's like Sunderland's defence at this point in football, but Tice leading the way. Palmer has now got to try an unorthodox move, essentially. But is Tice holding him up enough so Marcello could try and get him? It is so fascinating to watch. Viper is still hanging on from Splash as well in fourth. We'll cut to that in just a second. But now, coming through Jun South for the final time, where is the run going to be? Is Palmer close enough on the back of Tice? He runs out wide slightly, does Tice, but he gets a better run. I think that might be it. Tice now 3.5 tenths of a second clear. Palmer has now got to try and give his all to try and get this win, but I don't think it's enough. It's going to be Tice coming across the line. The penultimate round of the championship here in the MX5 Sprint Series is going to go to Tice. A stoic defensive performance, and he wins by 3.5 tenths for Palmer in second. Marcello third. Viper and Splash were nearly side by side coming across the line. Doug and Hairraiser as well. 6th and 7th. Hairraiser could get Doug, but Doug is 6th. Hairraiser in 7th. Keelan and Petrolhead in 8th, with Petrolhead coming across the line in 9th position. Tap across the line in 10th. Game of Coxie and all that, by the way, got lapped as a result. He finished in 12th. Tap across the line in 10th. And we wait for Bar in 11th. But my, oh my, what a race. Tice wins. Palmer in second. And Palmer, sorry, you should have gone for it.
I can hear the emotions going through Tice and Palmer's voice chat for the Cymax crew, because that is an all Cymax sweep of the podium right there, and Palmer, of course, has really got a gun for that championship now with that massive point swing in the championship. I think now that's between, I believe, 8 points that makes the championship difference between Palmer and Tice. But I'll tell you what, Tice put on an excellent display of clean and defensive driving, and Palmer certainly didn't make it easy here today. Marcello taking up the 3rd spot.
Absolutely brilliant. Shall we try and get them in?
I definitely think we should.
I'm not sure if we're going straight into the second race. If we do, then we'll obviously give interviews at the end, but we'll do that anyways. I think there's a 10-minute break between races, so that gives me time to get a drink. It gives you time to relax and go and get a cup of tea at this point, and we will get our interviewees in.
Yeah, that was definitely an entertaining race, to say the least. Obviously, it provided all of the action, pretty much non-stop action throughout this race. So I can't recall a time or any second in the race where there was a bit of downtime. There was definitely action throughout the race, and that's the beauty of these. That's the beauty of these MX5s. That's the beauty of these, the SRS Motorsports League. And that's the beauty of these drivers. They give it their all. Palmer and Tice, of course, knowing that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, those two have not won a driver's championship of any kind. So this could definitely change the life of Tice and Palmer after the season finale here.
It definitely can, and I think for Sidemax as well, being such an important focal point, I think, on the GT Sports side here in SRS, they want to try and build on that, and I think, and it's fantastic to have both Speed Demon Motorsport and Sidemax Motorworks as well involved in the championships, and hopefully it is going to be taken. Palmer just saying there, he's shaking. Someone calm him down. We'll have to get him in now. We are the ones to calm him down, I'm afraid.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely get them in the interview, of course. But my oh my, what an entertaining race that definitely was. Oh goodness me, it's just one of those things where it's just like, oh man, it's just like, did that even happen? It's like, did that all happen, basically? Because you want to give it all you have, and you want to make the most of what you can give in the race. I'm going to add Tice, Palmer, and Marcello into the chat so we can speak with those fine gentlemen in the race. But my God, I want to say that was definitely, it definitely had its moments. There was definitely a couple of times where there was definitely some penalties that shouldn't have been thrown out in the first place, I feel like. But that, I think, makes up for the entertaining racing that was displayed here for only the first round at Interlagos here of two that we got today. We got our drivers, Marcello, Marcello, Palmer, and Tice. We'll start off with the man in third place, Marcello. You, my man, were absolutely giving it. You were not having an easy day with the two Speed Motorsports cars, the Viper and Splash. Tell us about the absolutely fine racing you had today with the number 5 Mazda.
Guys, I just want to say, keep it brief.
Alright, we'll keep it brief. Okay, go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, pretty early on I knew that it was going to be difficult after the start and after qualifying. I could have got a better lap, but anyway, the start I lost the position to Viper, I think, and I tried to get some positions, and obviously losing time fighting each other, I lost the slipstream to Ethan and Tice, and so from then on, it was me against both of them, and it took me like 15 minutes or something to get out of the slipstream and to eventually catch Ethan and Tice. And I really enjoyed the fight on track. It was really good. And at the end of the race, I gave it everything because I saw that my teammates were fighting each other, but it wasn't enough. But I'm happy with my race because I think that I was pretty consistent. My pace was not too bad, and got some points home.
A very good, solid day for you, Marcello. James, I imagine you have a question for the man in third place?
Yeah, how on earth did you get into third and only finish 2 seconds off the win?
I mean, because they were fighting each other. That's pretty simple. I'm sure that if I would have been in clear air earlier into the race, so if I had more time to catch them, I'm sure that they would have worked together a bit more. I think at the end of the race they just went, okay, let's just fly on track because he's not going to catch us, which eventually that's what happened. So even if I was going to have clear air earlier in the race, I wasn't going to catch them, for sure.
And a good day for you, Marcello, of course, getting third place. Of course, you want to try to convert that into a win, but we will see going into the season finale. We'll move on to the man in second place, Palmer. Gave it absolutely everything you got to try and get back that championship lead, but now, going to the final round, you are on the back foot. What's the strategy going to be for today's race, the season finale, and tell us about your race today, by the way.
Oh, I have no idea what the strategy is going to be, to be honest. I'm still recovering after that one. I actually felt sick at the end because the nerves and everything kind of got to me. Obviously, I just couldn't get past Tice. I didn't want to be too aggressive. There's some points where I thought I'll just chuck it down the inside, but I knew that probably wouldn't end out very well. Obviously, I'm going to be in the back foot. going into the next race, and hopefully my nerves actually keep down, because I feel very, very shaky at the moment. So hopefully that doesn't hamper my performance in the next race. But yeah, it's so close. You know, it's down to the wire. You know, once again, this Master Championship has has been probably the closest thing I've ever seen. So yeah, hopefully it comes in my favour, or goes in my favour for the next race. But obviously it's going to be very, very tough getting through the field as usual.
Yeah.
Well, I can certainly say we've definitely got more in 5 rounds than what we could with 24 rounds, of course, referring back to another league, of course. But James, I'll pass the mic on to you if you want to ask Palmer a quick question.
No, I was going to move on to Tice, because I know we're going to start in just a second. Tice, taking the win out on track. Honestly, that was your best defensive drive of the season so far. Talk us through what happened.
Well, basically, like, I got away from Ethan, then I made a little mistake at the last corner, then he got back in the slipstream. From that point, it was really just trying to defend.
Did you give each other the orders to fight each other as well? Or did you hear me on the stream?
We didn't really have team orders.
Good. Keep it that way, please.
And keep it that way so I can finally win a race.
I'll ask one final question before we get started for the season finale. Tice, of course, the key strategy. You're in with a champion. You're in with a potential championship here. Do you go in calm, cool, and collected, or do you give it all you got against your championship rival, Palmer?
Probably both. Give it all, but still stay calm, you know.
And that's the best part about it with the Kimi Räikkönen of the group, of course, the Iceman, as we like to call him in SRS. But what a race that was. We'll let you guys get back to the Sidemax crew, to the party chat, and we'll get going. Congratulations to the finishers for round number 5. And, of course, congratulations to everyone who took part in today's running. But that doesn't mean that we got one set of drivers onto the podium. Doesn't mean we can possibly get another set of drivers on the podium. Heck, we might even get the same set of drivers onto the podium again today, James. Of course, any predictions after seeing a very hectic and chaotic round 5 going into the season finale?
I honestly couldn't predict round 5, never mind round 6, because of course it is a reverse grid race, so it's going to be fascinating to see how everything is going to unfold out on track. If I was to go for top 3 though, honestly, I'd fancy my chances for somebody like Doug to get the win here. Very consistent driver, very quick as well, we saw it in that race. I think he might get the win. Second, I think might go to Splash, and third, I think might go to Palmer. I think Palmer will actually win the championship, so no pressure.
Yeah, I think I'll refer back to Doug Barrow a little bit, of course, referring back to the Team being team sets of events going back to round number 4, I believe it was, at the Red Bull Ring with the Group 4s in the wet weather. Doug Barrow, of course, putting on an absolute stellar performance to get the win for the SDM team. I think the only team's win of that whole event. So we're definitely going to be going back into it once again here. We go straight back into it this time with Coxie and Bar on the front row, with Tap Patrolhead sitting pretty in 3rd and 4th, and then Keelan Razor followed by Doug and Splash, then Viper, Marcello, Palmer, and Tice rounding off this 12-car grid for the season finale. Of course, the championship leaders at the back of the field, but they're certainly going to make do with what they can get for the final 30 minutes of the season. Of course, a packed crowd, thankfully, in the world of sim racing. Of course, no need for the you-know-what to take over the world of sim racing. Of course, we can go back to living life for a little bit longer, but green flag here today for the season finale of the SRS MX5 Sprint Series. Of course, any bold takers going into the first corner? Patrolhead going to go on the inside, actually having to defend on Keelan. Keelan tried going on the outside, and Doug Barrow giving his teammate Razor a tap to get by the number 22 of Keelan, and Splash already up in 8th place, Viper in 9th, and I don't think much has changed for the back of the pack, so the side match crew haven't really worked. Splash now making it 3 wide, going towards turn number 4. What a stellar move! It's going to be the number 11 to get by and I think Splash.
There's a concertina. Splash, I think, might have went into the back of Keelan, forced Keelan out wide, and that's put Hairraiser right down at the back of the field as well. But Gamer Coxie is adding from 1.6 seconds is the gap already, and Barr is in second, and Barr is holding up a massive train. I think anybody that was viewing Gaber Coxey point at this stage in the race, certainly, it'd be hoping him to win, but not like that. He runs out wide, coming through turn 8, and now rejoins just in front of Barr, and Barr is down the inside line for the lead of the race. There's been contact further down. Oh, there's all sorts of carnage. Splash, Viper. I think Viper was caught up in that more. Palmer as well caught up in that, and Tice has up into 6th position. Tice is fighting his way through, and he's already up into 6th, and the championship is grabbing away from Palmer's grasp.
Man, Doug Barrow, I think, had a little bit of a moment as well. Keelan up into 3rd place. What we thought was going to be a really
he's been
bad
tapped.
first lap.
Keelan got tapped by
Tap.
Tap.
Been tapped by
Doug's round the outside. Doug's round the outside as well, running up the hill, but Barr leading the way. Coxey in second, and these two for the lead are side by side. Keelan now and Doug just in behind, and look at Tice. Tap is giving him a tap and giving him a bit of a rub, running down in towards turn 1, but they're split across the track for the lead. Barr, Coxey, Keelan, Doug, currently your top 4, as now Doug shoots around the outside of Keelan. Can he try and get the move done? No, he can't. Tice can try and get the move done on Doug, but not quite either, as Hairraiser's through and he's up into 7th. How's Hairraiser fall back into 6th?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I was wondering as well, because there was that big moment. I think he must have just really benefited from all that carnage on the first lap. Everyone trying to buy for free real estate, and Razor, I think, really benefited through a lot of that. Marcello now down the inside doing his stuff, really putting it in there. But Razor with a switchback of the century and gets the move back to get
Tap's
back
got him
into
as well.
place. Tap. Oh, Tap now in the 34. Gonna try and make a move on his fellow countryman, or not countryman, what am I saying? On Razor. Keelan now up into 2nd place, and Barr now just leading. Gamer Coxey gonna try it on the inside.
No.
What a move! Oh, and Barr, Keelan's a little bit sideways on that DS4. I don't think that controller's working out for him very much so, but Barr 27 out in front. This has been absolutely a crazy start, and this is only the 2nd lap of the race.
And Tice is through, and he's up into 4th on Doug. He's just got the inside line coming down in towards Cortavado and comes through, and he's up into 4th position. But Barr leads the way. Keelan now in 2nd. Coxey is in 3rd. Coxey's lead of 1.6 seconds really didn't last long, did it? As Barr leads the way. But Barr doesn't lead the way for much longer. He takes a Kimi Räikkönen line. Coming through turn 12, and good avoidance there from Coxey. But look at Tice. Tice is through, and he's up into 2nd. How on earth from the back of the field he has got to 2nd is absolutely unbelievable. And Pua Palmer is down in 10th position. Game, set and match, I think, currently in terms of the championship. It's Keelan who leads. Tice is in 2nd. Coxey, Doug going side by side, running down the straight. Hairraiser as well, with Marcello on the back of him, but Doug much later on the brakes compared to Coxey, gets it down the inside, and the old timer is through, and he's up into 3rd.
We have seen things, just because of the fact that Tice is 2nd and Palmer is in 10th place at the moment does not mean that things are set in stone as they see right
Palmer's
now.
down to 11th.
Palmer is down to 11th, so really, really tough day for Palmer, and I think that
oh my god, it's 3 wide.
A lot. 3 wide.
Hairraiser, Marcello, Coxey with 3 wide, running down as Tice has taken the lead of the race. Tice has taken the lead of the race, but it's side by side between him and Keelan, running up in towards Ferradura. I think Tice has just about got the legs in that car. Keelan's on the inside line though, and Keelan will try and fight back, and he'll throw the Dutchman offline. Oh, down the inside of both of them, gets them. What a move by Doug! Absolutely unbelievable. I'm nearly speechless. Doug is through, and he's into the lead of the race. Hairraiser and Marcello getting his elbows out there, but Doug through the inside line. It was like the parting of the Red Sea on the curb. Doug is through, and he's into the lead of the race as Keelan nearly goes into the back of Tice.
If there was a time in history where we thought like I said, we have seen things in racing, especially with these Mazda MX5 Cup cars, where things can happen right as we don't expect them to happen, and just like that, Doug Barrow pulling off an absolutely tremendous move to get by the 2 very experienced crew of Side Max that include Tice and Keelan, and Marcello's up in the 4th place as well, Viper up in the 5th place. So this is where things are going to get very interesting and very hairy in a short period of time. And I think that Marcello and Viper, they are going to push. Doug Barrow onto the inside now, fending off from Tice, the man who's probably going to set to be inheriting the championship here after things are all set and done. Tice now, I think, giving him a little bit of an argy-bargy, but no cigar there as Doug Barrow really fends off that first place position. Now, what's going on with Marcello and Viper, I think they're going to start working with each other. Razor up into 6th place, so a couple of speed demons,
Oh my God!
Up with the guys from Side Max, and I think someone's gone wide into turn 1. And who is that? That is Splash, who's gone around in turn number 1. Oh, he's backed out.
Splash is out of the session. So unfortunate. His race really not going his way. Neither is it going for Marcello as Viper is down the inside line and gets the move done, and Marcello makes a mistake, and Hair Race is now through and well, and Hair Race is through and he's up into 5th. Meanwhile, side by side, Tice for the race lead is now through on Doug. Around the outside he goes through turn 6, but Doug on the inside line. He did the move here before. Is he going to retain the lead through this turn? Is he? Yes! Doug is still in the lead of the race.
The old timer taking it to the lesser aged two Side Max drivers in the other Mazdas. So just because the old timer is the old timer doesn't mean he can put up a show and fight for these overall wins in these SRS Motorsports League races. Well, taking eyes back to Marcello, who's actually fallen down to 6th, and on the top of that has got a 4/10 penalty, so maybe had a bit of a corner cut or two, and maybe run wide, and all of a sudden that's given him an extra penalty where he did not need it, with Razor scooping by into 5th place of this race. And Palmer, as a matter of fact, as well, is bumped up to 7th place, so Palmer, like we said, just because he's down, he is not out entirely, and he is going to have to drive on absolute rails if he wants any chance at trying to overturn this championship lead that Tice currently has at the moment.
And here comes Tice for the race lead. It is Doug leading the way. He's got the inside line. He gave him a little bit of a tap, I think, there, Tice, to just try and hurry him up and shimmy him up a little bit as Viper sets the new fastest lap of the race at 154.1 as Doug still holds on into the lead of the race. Line astern as they go through Desida del Sol. Marcello through and he's up into 5th.
They're right inside of each other.
Gets the move done.
Very bold move from Marcello on the inside of turn number 1. Of course, a little latency between the two. Of course, a little bit of you-know-what going on. Maybe probably rated R section going on. Marcello was still with a 3-10 penalty. This has been absolutely hilarious and entertaining, to say the least, between these two drivers. But my God, if there was a time in history, like we said, where anything can really happen, it is definitely with these MX5 Cup cars, because, like we said, because Doug Barrow's leading, Viper, which was down in 12th at one point, really trying to make a move on Keelan for the final spot of the podium at the moment. This is going to be an absolutely entertaining race once again, James, I feel.
It really is, and just to come on to that PG18 Hair Racer is car number 69 as well, which makes it even worse. But Doug leads the way from Tyson 2nd, Keelan in 3rd. We'll cut out our childish behaviour in the commentary box here as Viper is through, and he's up into 4th, but Keelan is fending him off for now. Marcello in 5th, Hair Racer 6th. I'll tell you what though, Palmer landed himself onto the back of Hair Razor. He was about 1.5 seconds last time around, and now he's only 3 seconds off the race lead. So Palmer is not giving up without a fight, but just like that, he runs out wide and costs all of that time, and he's going to try and get it back. Now, running up the hill, but Doug leads the way from Tyson 2nd, as now we're through pretty much 10 minutes, as Tyson now closes in on Doug, but gives him the tap, and now tries to run out of the slipstream to try and get him. Let's run and ball with him, as he runs down and towards turn 1. He gives him a bit of a tap again, and he really wants to get Doug on with things, I think, but Tyson switches to the inside line. Ooh. He dummies him down the inside line. Doug did not realise that coming, and Tyson, possibly with one hand on the championship, is through with an absolutely brilliant move on Doug. He is through and he's into the lead of the race, and with Doug having a bit of a mistake, he can now pull away to his heart's content. Tyson in the lead, but look at Viper on the back of Keelan. They're only 0.8 of a second off the race lead, and Tyson is going to be the one that really is under pressure at this point. Harris and Palmer are going side by side nearly in the background as well, running down in towards the Interlagos for the 6th time, but Palmer right on the back. Palmer looks to me as if he's got a penalty of some sort, as now Viper's on the outside on Keelan.
Yeah, actually, Marcello is the one that actually has the penalty, and he's still within this fight, but he's got a near 1 second penalty. He's serving it through the corners. Viper now trying to get on the outside, and will this open the door for Marcello to take advantage? Oh my god! Oh my goodness gracious me! Marcello nearly turned him around. I feel like
down on the inner.
Oh man, I don't even know how Marcello did not spin out Viper in that 51.
On the outside of turn 10. Viper gets caught on the curb. He's through. Marcello through and he's up into fourth. I'll tell you what, Viper was just in the slipstream there. Keelan, he got caught on the inside curb. Marcello gave him all the room in the world. I rode on board with him there and he's through and he's up into fourth.
Yeah, I think Keelan, of course, I heard a little bit of traffic cone words being thrown out towards Keelan from Viper's point of view. That's allowed Marcello to get back up into fourth place. But man, oh man, oh man, this has been what a day it's been. I think, James, a little bit of our conversations from earlier in the day have really spilled out into the stream a little bit, but not too revealing of what's going on. But we're gonna make the best of it we got.
Very wide.
Oh my goodness.
Viper down the inside line, can he get them both? Similar to Doug earlier on in the race, down the inside line he goes, but Keelan, I think, has got to hold him around the outside line. Now force him to the outside line, and there's nothing you could do about that as Viper tries to fight, and there's contact between them both, and it's sent spearing into Marcello as well, and now Viper is going to get possibly P3 out of all of this, but Marcello stays in P3, and now Palmer closes in right on the back. Unfortunately for Keelan, he has ran and he's down into 7th position. I'm afraid to say, as you can hear in the background, that is Viper shouting his way at Keelan there, but now Palmer on the back of Viper. Viper has got to keep a cool head at this point, and Palmer now is on the outside line running up towards Ferradura, but that contact really sparked, I think, from Keelan running out wide, coming across on Viper's line, which I've got to be honest was entitled to do. You're hanging off the camber of the corner anyways, coming through there, and I think Viper might see himself go towards the stewards, possibly for that, but Keelan as well, that will get investigated, I can tell you that now.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be looked at after the race. I don't think there was a whole lot that Viper could really do to try and prevent that. I think it was just two drivers just trying to be as aggressive as they could. I can tell you they were definitely not trying to have an incident like that happen, but I think worst case scenario, it might be a racing incident, but I think it was just maybe Keelan might have gotten a little bit easy because I feel like because I do understand that, points in this championship really do matter, and these cars really on the same performance level. There's not a whole lot of performance gains that one driver can get out of another car with these two, but I think it's definitely going to be looked at after this race. Splash now having to leave from the room, unfortunately, but like I said, I think that incident is going to be looked at after the race, and I think might be a racing incident, but who knows? Maybe a little deeper, thorough look at the incident can probably change the tide of what it might be like. Palmer now. Oh, he's going to try and get up in the inside of Viper. Nothing, whole lot that can do there. Razor now still in the 6th place, not that far off of these two, as Marcello now really starting to gain the tide on Doug Barrow and Tice. Tice now is actually broken away from the number 13 Mazda of Doug, so Doug Barrow maybe starting to fade back just a little bit.
Viper's gone too deep. Well, I thought he went too deep there, but Palmer right on the back of Viper, still fending him off for now, Viper. I thought, honestly, he was going to run out wide then. Palmer, was going to get the inside line, but Viper still hanging on into 4th position. And if I was Palmer at this point, I'd be G'ing up the American in front of him to try and get onto the back of Marcello.
Yeah, I think Palmer now. Oh, Palmer
on the inside.
On the inside.
Gets a move done.
Yeah, one of textbook moves. I don't think he's made the move clear and concise just yet. Is Viper still on the inside? Now he's got the move done for 4th place, and that right there is going to be another position gain. But I think Palmer, if he really, really, really wants this championship, is going to have to push like it's the end of his life right now. It's like his life is depending on this championship, and you can't blame him. He's pretty much coming second in every single SRS championship that we've hosted, including 2 seasons of GT3 action, and including this one, I feel like. So I think Palmer, once again, runner-up man, very consistent in the championship point status, but, of course, he would like to add a gold trophy to his name in the world of SRS Motorsports League.
Yeah, Viper now on the back of Palmer as he now runs down in towards turn 1 once again. We saw 16 laps out of the first race. We might get the same here in the second race as now Viper cuts the outside line. Is he more committed on the brakes than Palmer? No, Palmer is just way too more committed than him, but Viper now on the outside line. Luckily, no contact this time around, and look who's joined the party. Hairraiser has now joined the party. Keelan has dropped 7 seconds off on the back of Petrolhead. I think he's got a bit of a penalty as now Palmer is really under pressure from the American as he now runs down in towards the seat of the Interlagos once again. Tice leading the way from Doug in second, Marcello in third, but Viper now all the way around the outside of the seat of the Interlagos. Can he try and find it? Palmer hits the curb on the inside, forces Viper out wide. If that's a 5/10 penalty, then it's quite harsh, if I've got to be honest, if that is awarded. But Hairraiser now is still on the back, and luckily I think no 5/10 penalty coming Viper's way as he tries to switch, but Palmer parks it beautifully on the apex of the corner, and now Hairraiser right on the back of this as well, and Hairraiser nearly goes for the move and contacts the back of Viper, and goodness me, it's getting a little bit leery, I think, out on track with 13 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think fortunately, I don't think Doug Barrow's pit crew, I think they gave him the right set of tires at the moment, but look at Marcello absolutely just slashing the gap between himself and Doug Barrow up in front. So Marcello, he's not done entirely, but Palmer is just really trying to get as much as he can out of that car. But he's got to keep the number 51 and the 69 behind him as well. Viper with a potentially good run. Oh, Viper gets a little bit wide because Palmer went on the grass a little bit, so that's not going to help out Viper's cause at any moment. But can Viper make a move? Not yet. He's going to tuck behind as well as Razor does. But we'll take an eye on Doug Barrow and Marcello as those two are squaring it out, going towards turn number 1 as they complete lap number 9 of this race.
On the inside!
Marcello,
No way! No way he was going to get that. He's going to go on the outside line, though. He's going to go on the outside of Doug. Down in towards turn 2. If Marcello does this, it's a little bit aggressive. He's got to let him back through, surely, with that move. Marcello threw his up into second. Doug threw his up into third.
You can see the flashing.
Has to give up that.
He definitely will have to give up that position. Otherwise, that is definitely going to be a penalty coming the way of Marcello. Yeah, because I don't think we have to assign it mid-race. That is just going to have to be common courtesy for Marcello to understand. You know, he forced the driver off. He's got to give that position back. Otherwise, you know, if he's not going to give it back, then fine. Doug can keep his position. He's going to get gifted second place free of charge because of the fact that Marcello just pretty much just forced him off track. If you got to make a move, you have to make it clean.
Oh my God! Vipers into the back of Palmer, coming through turn 6 at Ferradura, but Palmer hangs on just about. I think it was more of an opportunistic move down the inside, possibly from Viper. Be rolled on board with him, but I tell you what, Viper is still up for this fight as Palmer now tries to get something out of this race. Marcello, just to come on to that incident as well, if Marcello doesn't give the position back, I'd be of the opinion that Doug will get second position because of the switcheroo and because of that contact. So Marcello, if you're listening, or if anybody from Side Max is listening, is in the party with him, tell him to give up the position. Simple.
Yeah, definitely.
He runs out wide.
Ooh, okay. Now, here's the interesting thing. It's not like Marcello has to make it difficult. There's another penalty right there for Marcello, so he's going to have to slow up just a little bit to try and, you know, get that position back to Doug. But I think, you know, if Doug's going to have to get this position back, Marcello cannot really defend because he has to make the... Oh, is there side-by-side action? Yes, there is. For 4th place, Viper, could he make the move stick? Palmer still got the up front, but who's going to be harder on the brakes? Lily side-by-side on the brakes, and Palmer, knowing that he's got the inside line, Viper had to really back out of that one.
Viper's got a good run, though. He got a tap from Hairraiser, and now he's on the back.
He does indeed. Keelan now actually down in the 9th place.
Oh, Palmer, goodness me! Moves across on Viper. That was a late decision to come across, to be honest, there from Palmer. Never like him normally. Palmer is going to be demonstrating about that. Sorry, Viper, I should say, should be demonstrating about that. Viper... Unbelievable, you can hear him. You can hear him in the background. That he is remonstrating about that. That is such a late move from Palmer, and he's got an 8/10 penalty. He need not do that. I know he's up for the championship fight, but come on, you've got to be clean.
Yeah, it's got to be. You got to make it clean.
Oh,
otherwise, you can make a move like that.
Oh, and
that's him a bit wide.
Too aggressive.
Oh, okay.
Too aggressive
Yep.
from Viper, and Viper has given up the position, I think, and Palmer's sideways, and Hellraiser's through on both of them, and he's throwing up the fourth.
Yeah, I think he knew Viper. I think he knew he was trying to really get that pass, knowing that he knew that's just textbook class respect between drivers. Of course, Viper knew that's not the way he wants to get the move done, so he let him on back through. Hopefully, the same could be said for Marcello and Doug Barrow, of course. But textbook driving for Hellraiser, knew that the opportunity was there, and he took that fourth place position like it was a piece of cake just sitting right in front of him.
Yeah, and speaking of cake, I had some chocolate Yule log earlier on, but there we are. Very nice. Really nice. Still Ty's not leading though. He might be getting that chocolate Yule log at the end of the race for Marcello in second, Doug in third with Hellraiser fourth. But here is Viper once again on the back of Palmer. Keelan, by the way, has dropped behind Petrolhead out on track, so these two are beginning to fight, and now Viper switches to the inside line. That is late, that is committed, that is bold, that is brave, that's everything! And Palmer still holds on to the position.
Yeah,
Viper
got a little bit sideways. Yeah, I think Viper got the rear end just a little bit sideways, and I think had it not gotten sideways, Viper, that would have been an absolute textbook move. But the car would just not cope with that, force of momentum going into turn number one. And Viper has got to start back from scratch once again to get by Palmer for fifth.
Keelan, by the way, he's nearly spun, and Gamer Coxie is through. Gamer Coxie is through, and he's up into 8th position out on track. So well done to Gamer Coxie. He might get a penalty because of that, but that was because of Keelan making a mistake. Luckily, no penalty given, and Gamer Coxie through, and he's up into 8th position. Keelan really, really struggling. Not sure if it's overheating the tyres, or if it's his controller, or his setup, or anything, because now Palmer is right on the back of Hellraiser, who commits too much into the corner. And now Palmer right on the back, coming through turn 9, and then towards turn 10 at Cotovero, I should say, as Palmer just runs into the back of Hellraiser, who makes a mistake in front of him. And now Viper is going to go around the outside. Is he the American? No, Palmer stays in 5th. But they are catching Doug, though.
They are catching Doug's, and of course, this is like one of those things where, Marcello has to still get that position back. So just because Marcello is absolutely gaining on Tice, it doesn't mean that he's, free from not getting that second place free of charge. And that is definitely going to be, provisionally second place Doug Farrell. Even though Doug might finish third on the road, he still might get that second place just because of the fact that he was forced wide by Marcello. And that is not how we promote this type of clean racing and stuff like that. It's going to be handled, in the most professional way that we can at SRS. Razor now on the inside of Palmer, and Viper going to try and make it 3 wide with about just under 7 minutes to go in this race.
That's late! Round the outside of both of them? No.
Not
round the outside of either of them.
This up. You cannot make that up, Palmer. What an absolutely textbook move by Palmer for 4th place, splitting the middle of the two STM entries. And just like that, Palmer back up into 4th place.
Yeah, great stuff. Went around the outside of Hellraiser, of course. Viper was in fact trying to go around the outside of both of them on the outside line. We rode on board. That's Hellraiser! Committed too much! He goes into the back of Palmer! And that is an absolute disaster! Hellraiser's surely going to have to give that position back as he moves past. And yeah, he's going to let Hellraiser he's going to let Palmer through, in fact, I think. Running up in towards Ferradura. Palmer should get the place. And yeah, he's back through and he's up into 5th. Really good sportsmanship there. That promotes Viper up into 4th. But really, really good sportsmanship there. Same couldn't really be said for Doug and Marcello, but there we are. You can't have it either other way. As now Hellraiser's through and he's up into 5th, but Palmer tries to switch the inside line. I think Palmer's nerves now might be shot at this point, and he doesn't want to try and commit for any sort of moves, but Hellraiser through and he's up into 5th. Little bit of a gentleman's agreement, possibly, I would say, between them both.
I definitely do agree because, like we said, this is the type of clean racing that we do expect. Of course, we're not seeing it from time to time, but the respect from these drivers, of course, is definitely being shown, of course, knowing, when a move doesn't go exactly as planned, different on paper than rather actual practice. And then, of course, drivers just knowing, hey, I messed up on something, you can have the place back. That's not how I want to race you clean. That's not how I want to race you. Of course, some drivers obviously don't know better of that, but will not name, those who do. But other than that, Viper being very opportunistic with the circumstances, and he finds himself in a lofty 4th position at the moment with just under 5 minutes to go in the season finale.
Yeah, his remonstrating him behind you is definitely getting him somewhere in this race, to be honest, as Hellraiser tries to look down the inside line, but Viper currently in 4th position. And arguably, I think he's cleaned up his act, to be honest, out on track, which is good to see. As now Hayrazor and now Palmer gets onto the back. Palmer taking a much thinner line there, saving the ground through the SRS, coming through turn 3, and now on the run down towards the seat of Interlagos once again. This should be the third last lap out on track. Hayrazor once again committing himself into the corner, but Tice leads, Marcello second, Duggan third. I've got to be honest, are we seeing the top 3 here?
I definitely would agree as well, but I think Marcello, with that move on Doug, has definitely got himself a penalty, but obviously with the fact that he's continuing to build that gap over Doug Barrow, it's digging a bigger hole for himself, of course, because of the fact that, Marcello really forced Doug Barrow wide when he didn't absolutely need to do so. It's just digging Marcello a deeper hole than he absolutely needs to, but Tice, of course, theoretically, is going to, if he can keep it as is, will seal the MX5 Sprint Series Championship in SRS.
He will, and he's just been dominating, but he's got a second penalty out in front. How costly is that going to be for Tice? I'm not sure what on earth has caused him to do that, but you cannot write the script with 2 more laps to go. 1 second penalty for Tice, and look at the gap. It's just 1.1 seconds, and that advantage for Tice. Arguably, he's going to save it up going through turn 1 and then down and towards the seat of Interlagos at turn 4. But I think if he was to get rid of that penalty in one go, it would give Marcello possibly the lead of the race. And you can see running down in towards turn 1, he just serves up a tenth of that penalty there, and he's still 1.1 seconds clear. But Marcello now senses an opportunity, a rare opportunity to try and get the win, as Palmer is through on Hayrazor down the straight, and he's up into 5th.
Yeah, Palmer, of course, trying to make as much ground as he can, but I think he's too far back to mount a challenge to take the championship away from Tice. But looking at the lap counters from Marcello compared to Tice, you can see 54s across the board for Tice, but 53.606, the fastest lap of the race for Marcello in the number 5 Mazda. So he has been absolutely trying to claw back his way. That gap now up to 1.2 seconds now, as Barr now has left the race. I'm not sure if that's actual disconnect or leaving the track. I want to say that might be disconnect, but I guess we'll find out from later. But this has been a race where really fists have been thrown, and we kind of saw this coming, to be honest with you, because these cars have a tendency to be very even on performance, but Marcello is making it one step above over Tice. That gap now is pretty much down to 0.7 of a second, but with that penalty by Tice with 0.5 of a second, we're probably going to be seeing a very hectic and very chaotic final lap of this race.
We've still got the battle for 4th as well, as Palmer has a massive lag spike coming up the top of the hill, and now Viper is under pressure, as now Palmer looks to the outside line, will dip on the inner to try and get the switch back. Is he going to go for a move down doing towards Jun Sao? He is going to go for a move in towards Jun Sao. Can he get the move done? Viper forced out wide, Viper holds the position, Viper holds the traction, Viper holds the position, and he's still in 4th position. I'm sure our conversations are going to go long into the night after this one for sure, but Tice leading the way from Marcello in 2nd. Doug is doing enough to hold off into 3rd. It's 2.4 seconds. He is losing time to these guys, but now look on the back of Viper. I'll try and get the right camera angle. There he is. Look at the top right hand side of your screen, or the top middle of your screen, as now Palmer dives it down the inside and towards turn 1. Brilliant move by Palmer, so committed on the brakes, gets the move done on Viper, and he's through and he's up into 4th position. But for how long? Because Viper is going to be up for this one, and we are on the final lap of the race as well, so this is now all hell for leather. To-ing and throwing. Marcello and Tice are very close for the lead of the race as well, but Tice leading the way for Marcello in 2nd, Doug in 3rd, Viper trying to go down the inside line, but Palmer holds sway, holds firm, and still stays in 4th position, but has a poor exit, and now Viper has got the inside line. He's now on the outside line. Could he try and switch it to the inner to try and defend? But Palmer will defend, running up the hill in towards 4th and 5th position. And Tice, with still 0.2 worth of penalty, has got Marcello right breathing down his neck, and surely the Italian's going to be up for this one with just half a lap to go, hardly half a lap to go, around 2 kilometres from this point. as Tice holds on to the lead of the race, but Marcello now right on the back of him. Tice has still not got rid of that penalty. He has to get rid of that penalty if he's got a chance of winning this. Down in towards Junsao once again, but Marcello down on the inside line. Tice, it's going to be a sprint to the line. Marcello's on the inside line, and Marcello's going to have the lead of the race, running up through to beat the dust boxes at turn 13, but it's still side by side. Tice is now going to commit to go into that slipstream. He can cut across into the slipstream. What is he doing? Is he going to let Marcello get this one? Marcello coming across the line. Side max 1-2 in the end. Marcello wins from Tyson. Second, you could not write the script. Doug is going to finish in third position. Palmer is getting absolutely hounded by Viper to the line. Palmer holds on for fourth by 500ths of a second from Viper in fifth. Headraiser in sixth, 800ths of a second off in the end. Petrolhead now across the line to finish in seventh. Keelan, a real disappointing race from the Brit to finish in 8th. He has overtaken Gamer Coxey once again towards the end. Keelan comes across the line in 8th position, spins his way almost across the line. Gamer Coxey in 9th, and Tap comes across the line to finish in P10. Well, it was a bit like Tap, to be honest, out on track, but Marcello wins by 1/10.5 of a second, and that is the SRS MX5 Sprint Series done. And there is Marcello, who's up 9 positions from the back of the field, from 10th up to 1st. He wins, but Tice is crowned your champion of the SRS MX5 Sprint Series for Season 3.
Yeah, what an absolutely magnificent racing, of course. I think there is going to be a lot of words being thrown between drivers after that one, but of course, my oh my, it's definitely going to be it's going to be a long night going into the end of that one. And keep in mind, because of that move right there that Marcello did on Doug, he might not even win this race, but for now, it still stands as is, but it's definitely going to be looked at after the race as well, including that one incident between Keelan and Viper after the race as well.
Yeah, shall we get the top 3 once again in? I think we've only got to add one more.
Yeah, we gotta include Doug into the mix here, of course. But oh my, what a absolutely twisty-turvy race that one is, and I think we might be having some words coming into the party as well. But we'll save that up for the after stream racing that is as well. But James, my oh my, what a absolutely chaotic weekend of racing to join you for commentary on. Any final thoughts for the season before we do close out the season, of course?
Honestly, I think it's a fantastic profile to have a sprint series like this running, even if the GT3s aren't going to be running until next season, which I can confirm they will be, and I'm sure we will get more info about that in the coming weeks or so. But to put it on profile, well done to all of the drivers who have competed. Well done to myself, who's even competed in this championship for the first 2 rounds, of course, when you were commentating, Trevor. And well done, of course, to the man that has finished in P3. Yes, I was going to go to Tice first, but I'm not. Doug finishes in P3. Doug, talk us through your race, because there's one move that I think is going to go very much noticed by the stewards.
Yeah, it was... He ran himself out wide. Didn't ease to making sure he went around the corner and smash into me. It's one of those things. I'm going to run it the same way I ran Tice's one. He was going to get past me anyway. I'm not going to push it. It's March's win. Because I heard what everyone was saying. I'm not going to, unless you lot want to do something about it, I'm not fussed either way. Yeah, it's a good race.
Really good race, and finishing 3rd as well, from being really competitive in the first 10 minutes of that, then dropping off and losing the slipstream. There must have been a bit of no man's land later on.
Well, the thing is, it's very much a wheel circuit, and I'm on a pad. So after Sector 1, you've got no chance. So just to get the move I got to put me into first, and get a bit of a gap on Keelan, who was a little bit of a rolling roadblock for the people behind, luckily for me. Tice coming up, great little dummy up. I can't, the pad doesn't react quick enough to do anything about that dummy. It was a lovely dummy. March coming up on me, I was never going to keep him behind me. So 3rd's good, happy.
Yeah, fantastic result from you, from your perspective, and obviously that is the end of the season. What were your season goals coming into the last 3 weeks or so for the sprint series? What were your goals, and did you foresee yourself going on the podium?
Last week I did. Got a bit stitched last week, both races. But again, that's been
Apologies.
sorted. No, we sorted it, Tice. It's no problem. We sorted that. We spoke about it like gentlemen. It's done. You know, what's done is done. I like the MX5s, don't mind driving them, so I was just hoping not to be last. That's my always goal, is not to be last. And as I wasn't last, I'm happy.
Yeah, Gamer Coxie wasn't last as well, and he's mentioned that in the comments section there as well, which is fantastic. But, Trevor, any questions?
Yeah, I think, Doug, you were absolutely putting on a fine, stellar showing in the number 13, getting one of the Speed Demon Motorsports Mazdas onto the podium, which is an absolute stellar job. Of course, any harsh feelings towards Marcello, nothing of any of note, which is a good thing as well. I do have a quick question, though, of course, Doug. Were you kind of expecting to get a podium in the particular position that you were facing yourself for the majority of the race?
I was hoping to do well at the start. I knew I was quicker than all the drivers in front of me. So just hoping to get a good start and hoping that people get held up, because obviously there was more people behind me to get held up than there was in front of me to be held up by. So, you know, it was just try and get through early. It was a lovely little move to get me into first, like I say. The two, I can't remember, it was Keelan and someone were bashing each other about, and that gave me a good run out of turn 4 up through turn 5 to take the lead. So yeah, no, always hope to be on a podium. Always hope to do well for the team, and you know, I think through this series I've done as best as I could do. The driving, I will say this, I felt the driving standard was slightly better, although I did get a whack, slightly better this time round than last time, in the last 2 races. I can't vouch for anyone behind me, but for the position I was in through both races, I felt it was much better. And I do appreciate Tice after his little dive, which was amazing. He then stuck his hazards on to say sorry, thanks, and off he went. So yeah, no, brilliant.
Yeah, what an absolute stellar performance for you, Doug, of course. Really getting the 3rd place that you really did deserve today as well. And, of course, you'll be capping our season off on a very high note heading into the next series that SRS will commence on. We'll move on to the man in 2nd place and your 2021 SRS MX5 Sprint Series champion, Tice, the Kimi Räikkönen of the series. You did it. You did the hard work, man. You're the champion. How does it feel right now, man?
It feels amazing, because, like, I've always been a bit of a wingman for Palmer, as people know. To, like, now get a lot of space back on him and win over him, it's great.
Now take us through the final bit of those minutes, the emotions that you as a driver were feeling, you know, realizing that you're winning your first driver's title in any form of league race. Just take us through the emotion swings that you were feeling in that MX5 car.
Honestly, the last few laps were literally just drive it home, not a lot more. I'm not a person that gets like excited pre-finish, if you get what I mean. It's like anything can happen till that point.
And any big words that you must say to Palmer for an absolutely stellar championship fight all season long. Of course, Palmer's got to feel the short end of the stick here. Any words for him while you got your spotlight on?
Yeah, he's been really quick. Unfortunately, he's not been able to make it work with overtaking defending, but he's definitely been the fastest throughout the whole season.
All right, Kimmy. Well, on that note, you can definitely have the drink now, of course. So you have a good night.
Actually, my parents just came in with champagne.
Also, boy, congratulations! You could have the drink to celebrate your first driver's title as well.
Can I just make a quick announcement?
Go right on ahead.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do Rosberg here. I'm not gonna defend my title next season. I'm gonna be working more as a manager, both within SRS and SMM, to help improve the drivers and overall the team too.
Absolute stellar performance for Tice, of course, going on a short high. Of course, Lily being Rosberg in this case, of course, Kimi Räikkönen and then Nico Rosberg. I'm going to start nicknaming you that in the SDM Discord really shortly here. But, James, got to pass the microphone to you. Got any questions for Tice as well?
Yeah, honestly, another fantastic drive from you. I think these 2 races will go mark down in your sim racing career as being one of your finest. But just talk us through the emotions when you crossed the line. Because I know your parents have came in with champagne, but what happened as soon as you came across the line?
As soon as I came across the line, I think I shouted a little bit.
can confirm that.
Yeah, I'm not really a person of shouting, but like that was just a moment to do it. But honestly, overall through the race, I didn't really feel a lot like your body is like a lot of tension, you know, a lot of heartbeat. I don't feel a lot in the middle of the race.
I think honestly 3 words might have came out of your mouth in that chat, and I'm not going to repeat them because one of them's a swear word and the other 2 aren't. So there we are.
I think it was mostly yes, but we got Marcello to confirm that. Who himself also shouted for the win. So, like, great job to both Marcello and Doug Barrow for the win and the podium.
Let's move on to Marcello, though, in the meantime. Our race winner here
please.
to round off round 6 of the championship. And a brilliant win from you, Marcello. At any point in that race, did you think you were going to win?
No. I mean, only in the final 2-3 laps when I was really getting close, and then I knew that obviously Tice was taking it relatively easy, because, you know, at that point for him it was just try to avoid any mistakes and any risks, and but, you know, he still, you know, gave me a run for my money. You know, we still pushed each other quite a lot. I was sweating buckets here, and it was also, you know, satisfying to get the win the way that I did, you know, into the final corner. So, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant race from you, obviously. And for Side Max as well, another 1-2. Linking on going forward, that must fill yourself with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, it definitely does. And then for the team, I mean, we know that we have very good drivers, and, you know, we know how to go fast, and, you know, we did the job, and, you know, obviously the target is always to do, you know, to keep on doing this, you know, getting 1-2s every race. It's very difficult, but if we can keep on doing it, in next season as well, obviously this is our target, this is our job to do for next season. And yeah, this definitely gives us a lot of confidence, and especially, you know, getting a 1-2 in the second race, in race 2, because with reverse grids is always very difficult, and, you know, getting through the pack quickly, so it gives us confidence for sure.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, of course. Trevor, any questions?
He's muted.
Yeah, I muted myself real quickly. But yes, Marcello, I do actually have a quick question as well. Of course, the first win of the season, I should point out as well, Marcello, of course, had to work, of course, very much harder than you're usually used to working, of course. What was the emotions like for you to finally get the first win of the season, and I think your first ever win in SRS, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, it's my first win in SRS since I joined last season, and it's actually my first actual league race win since March last year. So, you know, it's been a long time since I, you know, had the same, feeling of the win, and, you know, it feels amazing, and you know, it came a bit later than what I wanted, because I think in season 2 last year I had maybe 1 or 2 chances here and there, and then this season, at the start of the season, I just wasn't there. But I think that the opportunities were still there for me to take a first place. So, you know, it's a relief, you know, for me, because I really wanted to get this win, but I didn't know if I was going to make it. So again, you know, a big confidence boost. And also, I just wanted to add a quick note in the little incident with Doug when I was overtaking him. I didn't have much room at that point into turn 2, and I was almost going off track. I had to use all the curb, and I didn't have that much space to really put more steering angle than what I could. You know, at that point I was just committed, like that was my racing line, and I couldn't do anything about it unless, obviously, I mean, I can't stop in the middle of the track to do the corner. I mean, it's racing, and you know, and also, you know, on the straight, I tried to go down the inside and I was pretty much blocked, and you know, it was a big risk. So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to add a quick note to the incident.
Well, like I said, we'll definitely be taking a look at those, but of course, things can change, but of course, we will definitely take a look at it. And James, I just got your message, so I'm not going to say much more than what I've just received. I'll keep it short and simple. But ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy that epic finale to the season finale, Tice getting the championship, we've had so many things happen in the racing, of course. We kind of saw the best of both worlds in everything today, James. Not a whole lot of downtime for anything.
Yeah, we really did, and I think that's just the nature of the racing. I think the MX5 Championship out on track. Big thank you to Tice, of course, for putting this on. A big thank you to everyone who has raced. No matter if you are a friend or foe of this league, you will always be a part of the SRS MX5 Sprint Series. And I think within the next couple of weeks, we have certainly got a few announcements to come relating to the GT3 series that is inevitably going to be upon us in just a couple of weeks' time. In the meantime, though, we have got 2 more announcements that I can bring to you. Announced on the Discord today, we have now set up an IGP Manager League, and we've also set up an F1 Fantasy League as well. Just to keep the blocks ticking over, just to keep everything ticking over in terms of the off-track action as well. And certainly with IGP Manager, this is something I've ran successfully before, so wanted to implement that in. And F1 Fantasy, of course, it doesn't start till the 27th of March, but I urge you to get your entries in, because you never know, there might be prizes at the end of it.
Wait, you haven't yet announced the IGP Manager.
I have announced the IGP Manager.
Where? I can't find it.
In the announcement! About halfway down up the announcement, I've put IGP Manager in, with the link and everything.
I cannot find it.
It's on the announcement channel.
We'll have to link it to you, Tice.
Okay, weird.
So while they handle with that shenanigans off the stream, but ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy that, please leave a like, leave a comment, and if you want to follow us on our future sim racing endeavors, please subscribe to the SRS Motorsports League YouTube channel. I am SDM_RDZ, joined by the wonderful James Head, of course. Congratulations to our finishers, our podium finishers, and then our race winners of the season. Once again, I am SDM_RDZ, and we will see you next time for the next racing league that we do in the SRS Motorsports League.
Please stay safe, everyone. Please keep on with the regulations as well. For myself and Trevor, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.